SmackDown starts off with a Jimmy Uso promo. He starts off mentioning how he was put on the shelf by Solo for 6 months, and he basically wants revenge. But then Roman Reigns ends up coming out, and Roman Reigns started things off a little differently. He ends up wanting the crowd to acknowledge Jimmy instead of himself, which I thought was a really good moment. Then Roman goes on about how he's the tribal chief, talks about how the bloodline used to take what was theirs, how they had all the power, all the success, all the respect. Then he ends up saying that he doesn't like the position that the bloodline is in right now. Then he starts hyping up the crowd a bit and talk about how they're still the ones. Jimmy responds back to Roman, ends up saying that we're not the ones anymore. He ends up saying that Roman doesn't have the Ulafala anymore, and that he's a tribal chief with no tribe. Then he ends up saying that he came back to Bad Blood because he needed him, not because he asked for it, and that he says that him and Roman are going to need help, and that he knows a person that they can get help from. You start hearing the yeet chants because it's obvious that he's talking about Jey Uso, but Roman ends up saying no yeet. Then Jimmy ends up saying that you will always be my tribal chief, but I'm the only one in the family that acknowledge you. This is really good. This was a really good, simple promo. Didn't I wouldn't say it was a bit of time consuming, but it didn't take that long based off bloodline standards. So, but this was really cool, really simple, nothing too major. This was really good. And I love that Jimmy Uso is back because I love Jimmy Uso. Jimmy is my favorite Uso, always be my favorite Uso. I always just find him more entertaining. I love Jay, but I always just find Jimmy Uso the more entertaining one. But I love that Jimmy's back. This was really good. I really love this segment. Now we end up getting a United States Championship match between Carmelo Hayes versus LA Knight. I'm not going to speak too much on this. LA Knight, of course, ends up retaining. They're going to build up those victories for LA Knight. Build them up strong. Andrade, this match was mainly just to build up towards Andrade versus Carmelo Part 7. So this match was mainly used to build up that feud. So it'll be very interesting to see who's the next challenger for LA Knight, because he's probably going to face Andrade or Carmelo again, because Nick Aldis did say that whoever wins the 7 match between Carmelo and Andrade, they'll get another shot at the U.S. title. So whoever wins that match is probably going to be his next challenger. Now we know we're getting Metaphor. Metaphor ends up coming out. They was finna have their match against Jade and Bianca, but ends up getting interrupted by Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ends up interrupting. He ends up trying to get on the microphone to make a case for why he attacked Cody Rhodes, but his microphone ends up getting cut off because Nick Aldis ended up fining and suspending Kevin Owens. I don't know how long they said they suspended him for. Maybe it was just this episode, but yeah, I don't remember how long they said Nick Aldis suspended him, but they said he suspended him for at least this episode at least. Then he ends up taking Corey Graves' headset and ends up getting on the headset to talk, and he ends up saying that Cody Rhodes turned his back on him and not the other way around, and that he's in the right. Then Cody Rhodes ends up coming out. KO wants to fight Cody Rhodes. He's ready. He's prepared. But then security comes, try to separate them, try to make sure they don't brawl. Then you get Randy Orton. He then ends up coming out, trying to calm down Cody Rhodes. He gets in the ring, trying to calm down KO, but KO is not calming down. And KO actually ended up attacking Randy Orton. This made Randy gets angry, and then he ended up attacking KO. And that's the end of the segment there. Love this. This was really good. They're slowly building up, they're slowly building up, the animosity that all three of them are going to have against each other. Because I really think this feud is going to put Randy, KO, and Cody all against each other, and they're all going to really start to hate each other. And this could lead to potentially that Randy Orton heel turn. So this will be very interesting to see how this plays out. Now we have again Metaphor versus Bianca and Jade. Not going to speak too much on this match. Bianca and Jade win, obviously. This match was very short too, which was kind of sad. But to be fair, it didn't need to go that long because we already know who's going to win. The main thing I want to talk about is Metaphor. Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. Going to be honest here. I think it's time for them to go up to the main roster. They're not really doing anything on NXT. They're kind of playing, honestly, they're kind of playing a background character to Ora Mensa on NXT, which is very surprising. Yeah, and it's very weird because they're in a weird situation where they're a tag team, but they can't be a tag team because there's no NXT women's tag titles. And then Lash Legend is like a single star, but she's not. So there's really nothing for them to do in NXT. There's no one for them to really face as heels. and they're not really going after any championships. They're not going to go after the NXT Women's Championship, and they're not going after the North American Championship. There's nothing for them to really do. While on the main roster, they could just be in the women's tag division. It's not that important, but it's better than what they're doing on NXT. So, in my personal opinion, I think it's time for them to get called up. I think they're ready. There's nothing, I don't think they really need to learn that much. The only thing you could argue is in ring, but they're not bad in the ring. And there's other wrestlers on the main roster who aren't that good in the ring anyway, like Maxine Dupree and Jay Cargill, but they're on the main roster. So I think it's time. I think they'd be a nice addition. Now, I may be tripping, but you guys let me know your opinions down below. Am I the only one who thinks Jakar Jackson is just better than Lash Legend? I don't know what it is. Everyone loves Lash Legend, and I like her too, but I just feel like Jakar is just more entertaining and just better at everything. I think Lash has more upside and more potential, but in my opinion, I just think Jakar Jackson is better. You guys let me know if I'm tripping or if you disagree, but I just think Jakar Jackson is just better, and she just stands out more in my opinion. Now we end up getting Nia Jax. She cuts a promo. She ends up mentioning her opponent, Liv Morgan, at Crown Jewel, and basically how she's going to destroy her. As she's mentioning about Crown Jewel, she starts randomly strangling Tiffany Stratton, and then ends up saying that after she beats Liv Morgan, that will be the perfect time for Tiffany to cash in on Liv Morgan at Crown Jewel. Then, if I'm not mistaken, Naomi ends up coming out soon after. She comes out and ends up saying that the only reason why Nia Jax is still champion is due to Tiffany Stratton constantly helping her. Naomi constantly pushed a few buttons to get Nia Jax a bit angry, and Nia Jax ends up basically wanting a match with Naomi. Before the match was about to start, Liv Morgan ends up coming out. She says a couple of words that doesn't really matter, and then the match ends up starting. This match was actually really good. This was a really good match, which very well surprised me. And they actually got a lot of time too, which was actually shocking. But the match was really good. But towards the end of the match, Tiffany Stratton tries to interfere, and then Raquel Rodriguez ends up stopping Tiffany Stratton from using her briefcase. Then Naomi soon after ends up taking out Tiffany Stratton with the help of Raquel. Then, she ends up taking Tiffany Stratton out with the help of Raquel. Then Nia Jax soon takes advantage of a distracted Naomi. She's about to go for her annihilator, but Liv Morgan ends up using Tiffany Stratton's briefcase on Nia Jax while she's on the top rope, which allowed Nia Jax to end up hitting a powerbomb into a roll-up pin and ends up picking up the victory. And Naomi will be the next contender for Nia Jax for her WWE Women's Championship, because this match wasn't a championship match. Nick Aldis felt like she needed to deserve and to earn her championship opportunity, so she had to win this match, and which she does. So I'm excited for that match. Nia Jax should retain most likely, but that match should be entertaining. At first, I was very critical because I was like, why is Liv Morgan and why are Raquel helping Naomi? But then I thought about it. I'm like, back in like January, back of January, Liv Morgan and Nia Jax did have a slight beef when Nia Jax first got back to WWE and she was beefing with Becky Lynch. So they do have some history there, so it does make sense for her to attack Nia Jax to a degree. So at first I was mad about it, but I was like, they do have some history, so it makes sense. After the match, Liv Morgan, of course, is celebrating how she strewed Nia out of the match. Then Rhea Ripley ends up coming out, attacking Raquel Rodriguez. After she took out Raquel, she ends up going after Liv Morgan and ends up taking her out, but eventually ends up getting saved by Dominic, and then they end up evacuating. Okay, I'm going to be honest here. I don't get why this was added. They really didn't need to add this because this didn't progress a story. Now, here's the thing. I'm not one of those wrestling fans who complain about a brand split. I don't really care about the brand split. The thing is, why do we need this though? This could have just been on Raw. That's my thing. This literally could have just been on Raw, if I'm being honest. It's probably going to be on Raw. I would have been cool with the Rhea Ripley stuff if it actually progressed a story, but this doesn't progress anything. This is something we already been seeing for weeks. Like, nothing changed here. Like, no offense, but like, I have to criticize this. Like, there was no reason for Rhea Ripley to come out here. There was no reason. Like, I understand why Liv Morgan was there, because Liv Morgan got to progress the story between her and Nia for Crown Jewel, but why is Rhea here? Like, this didn't progress anything. The same thing keeps happening. Like, we could have just saw this on Monday Night Raw, which we're probably going to see on Monday Night Raw. So yeah, this didn't need to be added. It was no point for this. I love Rhea Ripley, but there was no reason for her to be on SmackDown. Now we end up getting a quick segment. Legado del Fantasma is talking to Nick Aldis, and they end up trying to make a case for them to deserve championship opportunities. Nick Aldis ends up giving them an opportunity against a tag team that is unknown that he's going to handpick against Angel Garza and Humberto next week. This is easily going to be oh my god, I cannot speak. Motor City Machine Guns. I had to slow it down. This is obviously going to be them. They was originally supposed to go to NXT, but plans have changed since the Lucha Bros was supposed to come to WWE, but Tony Khan is stretching out their contract. He added injury time, so they won't be in WWE for another year. So he's going to have Motor City Machine Guns come in and come to SmackDown to replace the Lucha Brothers. I like this. My only thing is, why are the Motor City Machine Guns going to SmackDown? My thing is this. On SmackDown, the tag team division is set. You have DIY, the Bloodline, Street Profits, and then Legado. You have 4 teams there. Raw is the team that needs tag teams, bro. Because on Raw, all you have is the Judgment Day, and you have LWO. That's and Authors of Pain. Okay. The issue on Raw is every tag team that is credible are breaking up. Awesome Truth are breaking up. New Day breaking up. You had New Catch Republic, but they're injured. You don't, and Pete Dunne's a heel now, so you need to buff up the Raw tag team division, in my opinion, because there's no tag team division that's credible to face the New Day. At least on SmackDown, you have 2 credible teams. You have DIY and Street Profits. Where on Raw, you don't have no one credible to beat the Judgment Day. So I think they would be perfect on Raw, in my opinion. That's just me, but you guys let me know how you feel. But I can't wait to see what the Motor City Machine Guns do in WWE. Next, we end up getting a quick segment. Nick Aldis was talking to Street Profits and DIY, but then he heard some commotion and it's KO attacking Randy Orton, constantly stopping him out, constantly stopping them out. He ends up telling Randy that he's choosing sides, and then security got to break them apart. This is very good. This is very good. I love what they're doing here. I really love what they're doing here. And this is going to be the start of Randy Orton eventually turning heel. He's going to eventually have his issues with KO, but this is going to also lead to Cody Rhodes as well. So I love this. This is going to be great. I can't wait to see what's next with this storyline. Now we end up getting Solo Sikoa versus Jimmy Uso. This match played out exactly how you expected to play out. Solo picks up the victory with the interference of the Bloodline, of course. After the match, Bloodline ends up attacking Jimmy Uso, but then Roman Reigns ends up coming for the save, but he ends up, of course, getting outnumbered by the Bloodline, and that's how we end this episode of SmackDown. Overall, this was a solid episode of SmackDown. I enjoyed it. They're telling the story of Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso going to have to get back with the Bloodline. I mean, the original Bloodline, and they're going to need help. They're going to need Jimmy, possibly Sami Zayn. They're going to need to get the OG Bloodline. They're going to need help to defeat Solo Sikoa. This is interesting. I love this. I can't wait. The storyline is definitely picking up. This is going to be very interesting to see how they build this up, but I'm very excited. But you guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.